We're all looking very serious. That's better, Alex.
We are live on YouTube, so it's being recorded from now.
Excellent.
I'm just putting the link up.
I'm actually realised I'm reading something as I'm looking at you. So you can see my reading face on.
Okay, I've just shared the link on our Facebook page, which will then show on the front page of our website. Just going to check if that link is showing there. Hasn't refreshed yet. Okay, it's not quite as quick as I thought it was going to be. Okay, that is going to filter through though, so I think perhaps, I'm sorry for the technical delay, but perhaps we can start now, because it will appear on the website in a moment, and I will improve on that for the next time we try and do this.
Okay, thank you. Well, everybody, members of the public, council colleagues, welcome to this inaugural historic meeting of our Beaconsfield Town Council Community and Safety Group. First one live online. It will not be the last, and we welcome anyone from the public who is watching and listening. You are probably familiar with all our councillors who are present, but I think it might be just very nice if each one of them would introduce themselves. If we could start perhaps with, shall we start with the mayor and then just go around?
Good evening, Alex Dunlop, the Mayor of Beaconsfield. Welcome.
Okay, Clive.
Hi there, I'm Clive Schofield. Good to see hopefully some people joining us.
Patrick.
Councillor Patrick Hogan, Councillor for Beaconsfield West.
Alexa.
Hi, I'm Alexa Collins, I'm the Town Clerk.
Sandy.
Good evening all, I'm Sandy Saunders, Deputy Chairman.
Alistair. Graham.
Good evening, Councillor Graham Corney, representing the West Ward.
And Alistair.
Councillor Alistair Pike, representing the South East Ward, Chairman of Resources.
And Lorna.
Good evening, Councillor Lorna Shaw, representing the North Ward.
Jackson.
Hello, Councillor Jackson, representing the West Ward.
And Jeanette. Introduce yourself.
Jeanette Buckle, representing Better Connected Beaconsfield.
Okay. Right, so now you know who everybody is. So we will begin. A few ground rules. We may have to mute our microphones if there is undue noise, because we don't want to disrupt people who are speaking, but it may work if we don't. So let's just judge it. But mute your microphones if there is excessive noise. Members of the public were invited to submit questions. They have to do it in writing 3 working days ahead of time. And I do not know whether any have done so. Alexa, do we have any questions?
Because we've been working to put this meeting together quite quickly, I would have quite happily taken questions up until today, but I've still checked up until today and there haven't been any questions. And I know that it did go out on social media as well with the link to info@beaconsfieldtowncouncil.gov.uk, which is our general inquiry email at the moment, whilst our phones are not connected and we're not at the town hall. But I haven't had anything. I checked just before the meeting.
Right. I did omit John Reed. We're not seeing John Reed, but he is here. Do you want to introduce yourself, John? Well, he is here.
Good evening. Yes, Councillor John Reed, Beaconsfield Central.
Oh, thank you. So we are a full house and we have a full lot of questions and things to deal with. So we have no public questions, which is agenda item 1. Agenda item 2, well, we do have some absences. Yes, we do, don't we, for this particular committee?
I haven't actually received any apologies, but I do believe there are some communication difficulties at the moment.
Yes, okay.
So I think it's understandable that there may be, we haven't necessarily received them.
No, they will be recorded. So the minutes of the last meeting, I imagine you have all looked at or printed off the minutes of the last meeting. That was in January, quite a while ago. There were quite a number of items there, some of which required forward action, some of which has taken place and some couldn't. Are there any items on the minutes of the last meeting that anyone wants to make a comment on, add to, or question? Right, okay then. So I take it we're all very happy with the minutes of the last meeting, and we will record them, sign them as an accurate representation of that meeting in January. Good. So now we move on to matters arising, things that are not covered elsewhere on the agenda. I am not aware of any matters arising, but Alexa, there may be some.
I don't have any specific matters arising, and we are a bit disjointed from the last meeting to this meeting because of the current situation and the fact that we're all adapting. So I think we're going with the matters of the moment, and as things hopefully return to a new normal, we'll pick up on existing business if it's not swept up by the agenda as we go along.
That's great, thank you. So we all wonder what a new normal is going to be like, don't we? But it will happen. So agenda item 5, everyone. We're on declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest on any of the items of the agenda or anything that needs to be declared at this meeting? Well, I have a declaration of interest. I am the chairman of Better Connected Beaconsfield, which will be referred to and will be reported on agenda item 6. So I just wish to declare that interest and abstain myself from that item, and Alexa will deal with that. So we move then on to agenda item 6, which, as you'll see in your pack, is the coronavirus pandemic and community response. So we're going to have an update from Alexa and Jeanette on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So obviously the world has turned upside down and everything is very different. I did update at the resources meeting a few weeks ago of what we've actually done with our services and what's happening and what's not happening. So I don't propose to go over that, but this is the community and safety meeting. So it's really about the community response that we are seeing. So some of the things which have been started up are, I'm part of a group with Buckinghamshire Council, which they host a group for all the clerks in the county, because a lot of this, the communication for this is being focused through town and parish councils around the place because of their connection to community. So I sit on that group. It's meeting a bit ad hoc at the moment, but it is meeting, and it's been a really good group to share what we're aware of going on in our individual communities. It's also been a really good way of swapping ideas, and people have picked up a lot of tips and hints about what are going on in different villages, things that I've picked up maybe from BCB, I've fed back into that group, and they've said, oh great, or perhaps we could do something like that. It's also interesting to see some of the challenges that some of the other parishes are facing, which are not necessarily the same as our own. So I sit on that group, and that's really useful. I use that to both gather information and to feed information back. So the other thing that I'm doing is that I have been invited to join the management meetings of Better Connected, because that appears in the community at the moment to be where most of the activity and numbers, certainly numbers of volunteers, are gathered. And there are a number of people who sit in that group as well. So the rugby club have been very involved in that, and I'm not going to talk a lot about that because I really want to hand over to Jeanette, but the rugby club sit on that group. I'm sitting on that group as the town council. There are various people from around the community that all get involved in that, and some of the initiatives that are coming out of it are quite amazing, and I've sent you all a report on that, which has come from Better Connected, and I'm going to hand you over to Jeanette now to talk you through what's going on there, because this report was last week, I think, and there are things changing all the time, so there may be other things she's going to add to that.
Good afternoon, or good evening. For those people who are listening in, I'm Jeanette Buckle from Better Connected Beaconsfield. And our charity is newly formed in November 19, and our aim is to improve in the community. And by that I mean connecting people with groups and activities to improve their well-being, and so strengthen our community. So that's supporting individuals to have healthy, fulfilling lives with no matter what their circumstance or age. Obviously, during the COVID crisis, we have refocused what we're doing, still helping people in the community. But I'm going to list a couple of the things, or the main things, that we are working on now as a charity across Beaconsfield. So we have something called the Buddy Network, where we have over 300 volunteers who are doing shopping for families who are self-isolating. We have something called the Pop-Up Larder, which is helping people who are in current short-term financial hardship. And you can access that via the website and calling us on the number. I'll give you that all at the end. And we're working with the rugby club in delivering that. Hopefully you've all seen that we do our food collections, thanks to the very generous donations of all the public, on a Wednesday. And our buddies and the rugby club help feed that through. We also have something called the Listening Ear, which is, we have 26 volunteers doing that, which is enabling people at this difficult time to have a confidential chat, okay? And you can access that via our website or calling Beaconsfield 919 232. We also have a prescription service that we're working with the rugby club on, and that is, if you want to pick up your prescription from Pyramid Pharmacy or divert your prescription to go to Pyramid, the rugby club will be able to deliver it to your house or home. This has already taken over 200 trips to the pharmacy off our roads a week and continues to do so. We are currently providing food shopping services to over 250 homes a week. And we are providing essentials and food through the larder to over 50 families a week. So that's circa another 200 people. We also provide food from the larder to other charities, One Can Trust, YMCA, and a COVID ward to mention. And then finally, as Better Connected, I suppose we're about connecting people to do good things. And recently, last week, an organisation that produces scrubs for the NHS in Buckinghamshire got in contact with us. And as a result, all our care homes and GPs in Beaconsfield were offered free scrubs, and over 50, to my knowledge, if not more, have been donated. So I think that's all from me, other than please do visit our website at betterconnectedbeaconsfield.org.uk or call us on Beaconsfield 919232, and we'll try and help where we can.
Well, thank you, Jeanette. Does anyone have any questions that they might like to ask Jeanette, or does anyone have any input of any other groups that they know about in the community who are doing excellent service as well? We do know of some. So is there anyone who would like to add extra on that point that we've just covered?
Just one question, Chairman. Jeanette, are you still taking on volunteers for Better Connected?
Yes.
Are you? Sorry.
Yes, we have a huge number of volunteers. Not all of them are fully employed, and I suppose the ones with certain skills or DBS checks, that sort of thing, are quite useful, especially if they've got IT skills, things like that. But yes, we're still taking on volunteers, and where appropriate, we give them tasks, or they can help support our buddies.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
There are, of course, other community groups who are working. Better Connected Beaconsfield has received a grant from the Town Council, which is why we're mentioning it here. There are other groups as well. The Rotary Club is doing very good work in the town. Also, One Can, of course, which covers many different areas, is doing amazing work, delivering 500, and I think it's going up every week, packages of food to people who really are struggling, and the numbers are going up. And there are other charities as well, smaller ones from churches, all of whom are contributing to helping Beaconsfield to be better connected, to be well, and to be cared for. Of course, we're not going to reach everybody. So if you do know of anybody who hasn't been reached, then contact Jeanette, because she can point you to the person who can help there. So it's excellent work. Thank you.
Hi, Chairman. Just to add to that, firstly, I think everyone joined me in a big round of thank yous to all the volunteers who've got involved with Better Connected Beaconsfield and the other organisations who are helping. So thank you to everyone there. There's a great resource on the Buckinghamshire Council website at directory.buckinghamshire.gov.uk, which lists all of the available support in the town, whether it be Better Connected Beaconsfield, the Rotary Club, Beaconsfield United Reformed Church, who are providing pastoral and spiritual support to people, and similar. Perhaps Alexa could organise for the link to be posted on the website.
I will do that, and I noticed that you sent it to me in the chat, but I haven't got enough hands to do everything at the moment. So I'll save that, and I will I'll put it onto the front page of the website. I need to update the details on there, but I will do so.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's very helpful. So we move on from all of that good work and very much needed to our next agenda item, which is agenda item 7, the VE working group, which has taken a real jolt because, of course, we can't celebrate in the way we wanted to. But Sandy Saunders will deal with this item, and he'll tell us what we can do.
I'm going to jump in quickly because Sandy's had a problem with his printer.
Okay.
So I'm going to help just by reading out what the current situation is with the schedule, which again we are going to publish on the website, and we will publish it on Facebook, and we'll share that out, and we'll go to other community groups and ask them to share it on their social media as well. So obviously lots of things have had to change, and there are lots of people involved in this, people from the town, and we've had to sort of juggle around, fit with what the Royal British Legion are doing and to fit with what Bucks are doing, and try and get it all together. So they are going to erect the poppies on the north side of St Mary's, and Jeremy at the church is organising that. There's obviously some concern about people gathering to see them, but we're not encouraging people, but if they happen to see them whilst they're out and about, then that is all good news. We are promoting that people should decorate their front garden or their porch with bunting. We've got a link from Bucks Council on how to make your own red, white and blue bunting and things like that, which we will share. We are starting a community project to share people's stories and memories, 75 memories of 75 years, via recording or video, and we'll be bringing you more about that after Jeanette and I talk to some talent that we've got she's sourced tomorrow about how we can do that. But we will be looking for all of you councillors to join in that video project, and which again we'll be looking for other people to help us with some social media on that as well, and we're going to record those memories and build it into a project that we can do when we're not together, but to bring us all together through memories. So the day itself is that at 9 AM we will start to put out our social media stuff that we have. From 11 AM we're linking in with the national initiatives, which a lot of which will be on TV. So there is a 2-minute silence at 11 o'clock. At 2:55 the last post will be played from the top of the Four Peaks. I think that Bucks Council are trying to stream this live if it's not on national TV. At 3 o'clock we have a piper. We're not sure whose piper it is at the moment, whether it's our piper or whether Bucks are using our piper, but again we're hoping to share that information. The piper playing Battles O'er, and we also have the nation's toast to the heroes, and encouraging everyone to join us on social media to share their toast to the nation. And we are at 7 o'clock, we have the Cry for Peace. So at the moment we're not sure whether we'll be able to do that live with Dick or whether that's a pre-recorded video, but we will be. Again, Bucks are very interested, and they've approached Dick to say, please will you do the cry for us, the Cry for Peace. Also St Mary's, Jeremy is apparently he's been doing a lot of online services and things at the moment, and there will be an online service for that, but I'm not sure of the timing. And then at 9 PM is the Queen's address to the nation, and again we will share all of these initiatives on the Facebook. So apologies that Sandy wasn't able to deliver that.
Yeah, that's a shame, Sandy. I think we probably have to record that we're in agreement with all those wonderful arrangements. So is there anyone who does not think this is a good idea? So we're all in agreement, which is great. I noticed that Jeremy said in his letter to you, Sandy, that whilst streaming a service may seem a very new and modern thing, he has members in his congregation over 80 who are happily attending his streamed services in their living rooms on Sundays. So it's all working very well. We're all adapting slowly but well to the new world. So I think that will be a great success. So thank you, Alexa. That sounds really, really good, and a very honoring tribute to that particular day. So that's agenda item 7, Armed Forces Covenant. Now this is Sandy again. So Sandy, what do you have news for us on the Armed Forces Covenant?
Well, the only thing, thank you very much to give me a topic to talk about this. The only thing really that has happened is that we are trying to identify any veterans, any members of the armed forces, whether it's just during World War II or subsequently, who need help in any form. But in Beaconsfield, we're having great difficulty. The British Legion, as everybody knows, has closed, and Dick Smith has been trying to help find veterans. I have several in the community associations, so we're in touch with them, but unfortunately they don't have links with anybody else, partly because the Legion, which was the centre for discussion, has closed down. So I'm pleading with not only members of the committee, but any of the members of the public who are listening, if they know of any veterans on any branch of the forces or the Women's Land Army, as far as the war is concerned, please let me know, and we will then take them under our wing and talk to our colleagues in Aylesbury to give them whatever help they need. And these are veterans of any age group, whether they've left the service after 2 or 3 years, or whether they're veterans in their 80s and 90s. So please help if you can, particularly if you know of people who have problems, which we would try and help them with. Thank you, Chairman.
Well, thank you, Sandy. And I'm assuming that they make contact with either yourself or with Alexa with that information, or Dick Smith, as long as somebody gets that information.
Before we go, it would also be worth getting in touch with SAFA, the Armed Forces Community Charity, who also work with veterans and current service personnel, and have branches across the area of the country. Sandy, perhaps that would be a good point of contact in letting them know that volunteer services are available, because a lot of veterans will contact them seeking help, and they can then signpost it accordingly.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. I'm not sure we picked up everything there really clearly, but I'm sure that Alexa will follow that up with you.
Can I just confirm that was to suggest contacting SAFA, who would be able to give us some links if we need them?
They actually provide support and services in a range of general and specialist areas. As I say, they're well established, so working in concert with them would provide a much stronger support to the people who need it. I've posted the link on the chat for anybody.
That's good. Yeah, we can see that. Yeah, the link is on the chat, so that's very helpful. Well, thank you, Sandy. Is there anything anyone wants to add to the Armed Forces Covenant report from Sandy, or anything to do with the VE Day?
Yes, I think the Armed Forces Covenant is excellent, and wholeheartedly support signing up for it. I think it'll be really good to see the Town Council getting involved with things like the Poppy Appeal again, which we used to do up until a couple of years ago when the local appeal was moved out of Beaconsfield. So I think it's a great initiative, and I wholeheartedly support it.
Good. Well, as do we all. So thank you for that. Good. Well, let's move on then. We're doing very well here to agenda item 9, which is on flower displays and hanging baskets. And Alexa, perhaps you would explain what decisions we need to make.
Yes, this is there's not a huge change to the flowers and hanging baskets, which I know some people were concerned about. But obviously the situation is slightly different than we expected to be in at this time of year. So we change our displays twice a year, and obviously there's no cost implication of changing colours when those changes happen. So we did promise in this committee, we did promise the WI last year that for their centenary that we would plant some of the displays, and I think it was suggested that it be some of the displays closer to the town hall in the WI colours, or the historic colours of the WI, which are white, sort of cream and green, or white and green, and also with purple or lilac. So it's the other thing that we had talked about was whether we do the Old Town in red, white and blue, because obviously we were expecting our VE Day stuff, and although the flowers won't be in place for next week, it was to follow on that patriotic theme of the red, white and blue. And then another suggestion I've had recently is whether we were to try and do more blue for the NHS, but I'm not sure what flowers would be that colour. So I'm not entirely sure about that. So I thought I'd bring it to this committee. You can all have an idea of what colours we might use, but the suggestion is red, white and blue in the Old Town, some in the WI colours around the Town Hall, and whether you want to follow up the NHS blue idea, I would have to consult with Window Flowers to see what planting could be done and where we might want to do that.
Right, so we need to consider and make a decision, because I mean planting time is quite soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in
it's
in May. So I've warned the contractor that we'd like to do it. They don't have a problem. They grow all their own plants.
Okay.
They just need to know what we would like, really.
Okay, well, let's take them separately. Red, white and blue as a suggestion for the Old Town. Do we have views on that? We like it or we don't like it? Do we have views?
I think it's a good idea.
A good idea, yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
That sounds excellent. Sounds excellent to me.
Sounds good. Okay.
It's a good idea for me.
You think so? Good. Is there anyone who does not like the red, white and blue theme for the Old Town? I would think all the members of the public who are listening and watching would like that too. So are we going to make that our decision? Are we in agreement? Yes, red, white and blue for the Old Town. That's great. Now for the Town Hall, we have to choose. Do we go with the WI colours? And again, what were they, Alexa? It was cream.
It's cream or white with green and purple or lilac, ranges of purples.
Okay.
It's a bit like the old women women's suffrage colours.
Yes,
but the purple kind of came in later. The original was it's more just white and cream now, but they're happy to go with some purple or lilac.
Yes. So are there any views on using in our lots of window boxes at the Town Hall the WI colours, which are green, cream and purple? Anyone have views about that? They love it or they don't love it?
It's a slightly unusual combination, Anita. I'm just trying to visualize. But what did we do last year? Did we have the same colours?
We had riotous colours last year.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yes.
They were quite astonishing, actually. I mean, they were. I think it'd be nice to have a theme.
Yes.
Will we have, if we were to choose the WI colours, will the WI provide us with any kind of signage, or will we put up any sort of note to say that these are to honour the WI and their contribution in the town?
I can ask Deirdre if she would like to do that, and again we can use social media. They could use their website or whatever.
I'd like the idea of a common theme going between the new and the Old Town. So keep it red, white and blue for me in the Old Town and in the New Town. And you've got theme coming straight the way through.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense too.
Just by the way, the WI are only asking for a small amount, i.e. they wouldn't want the whole of the New Town. They just want a few, and you could choose where they are, but just so that there's somewhere. And I just thought that if it was around the Town Hall, you could carry your theme on all through the Old Town and the New Town as one theme, and it would just be the Town Hall that would be slightly different.
Yes, so go on.
In usual times, absolutely. I think having a standard theme throughout would be the preferred option. But I think bearing in mind that this is the centenary of the WI, it feels right to celebrate that. With it also being the 75th anniversary for VE Day, celebrating that feels right. So I think actually having a different theme around the town hall and the old town would work to be able to celebrate both these monumental events. I'd also note that we did agree to plant out some of the baskets in the WI colours over a year ago now, and it just feels that we should stand by that agreement with them and celebrate their centenary.
Does anyone else have a view? Well, Sandy, you're muted, Sandy. We can't hear you, Sandy.
Press your space bar, Sandy.
Press the space bar.
I very much feel that, rather like the mayor, that we should keep the theme all the way through with red, white and blue, and not to distinguish between the old town and the new town. We are one community, and I think that one community ought to be seen with the same theme of red, white and blue.
Okay. Does anyone else want to add to that thought? We could, Lorna.
I'm not on this committee, but can I make a comment?
Of course you can.
It's special celebration so I think we need to recognise the WI. I think, as Alexa says, they've asked for a small display of flowers. So I don't see why we can have the thing through the old and new, but we can also provide something for the WI. I don't see why we couldn't do that.
That's a compromise. Would people perhaps agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's important to recognise them.
So
yes, I'd agree with that.
Good. Okay. So would we say then that the general theme, old and new town, would be red, white and blue, but we would need to have areas, especially in the WI colours, and that could be perhaps of their selection. It could be the flower beds in the front of the town hall, or it could be specific tubs or boxes. Would that be reasonable, do you think? I mean, I think that Councillor Reid's right. We did promise the WI a year ago that we would celebrate their anniversary with colours, so we should do that. So we're going to do both then. Fine, good.
That's fine with me.
Right. Anyone disagree with that? Excellent. Okay. So then we move on to the next point 10, agenda item 10, which is the community bus project. And we have a report, which you will have in front of you, I think, which Jeanette is going to present for us. No?
Actually, I'm going to present it.
Oh, sorry. Apologies, Alexa.
But we may go over to Jeanette if we need to. Jeanette did this report, and we have recently just done a report actually to L&Q as well, who provided some of the funding for the community bus. And it's obviously a bit sad that the community bus trial has come to an end so abruptly, that we've just had to stop it because we've been shut down by this pandemic. There was the same way as everyone else. So it's finished, and it's unlikely that we would have been back up and running during the time of the trial. So we've completed our reports for L&Q. We're slightly under budget actually on the whole project at the moment, but the bus and the way that it has been done pretty much on a shoestring actually cost about £15,000 for a year to run. And obviously we initially worked with Alfriston School, so we were not paying a huge amount of money to run that bus. And then we did get a very cheap deal on a hire of the second bus that we had, and also we have been taking advantage of some very good things that were negotiated by Jeanette on fuel with some of our local services. So we have really done it as cheaply as we possibly could. Now, what was particularly interesting was that because we had received some funding from L&Q, they insisted on, as part of the report, they insisted on us taking, submitting a report through their social value calculator, which we did do. And we have tried to be as conservative with this as we possibly could, because the numbers were quite astonishing. So if you have seen the report that I've sent you, in running this bus, which is run for 2 days a week only, and it's run for a few hours a day, we reckon that we've identified about 90 users. Only 30 of those are regular users, 30 occasional users, and 30 people might have got on it once. But from those regular users, we were even more conservative when we looked at the type of information that we thought that those people had, the benefits that those had received. So we've never counted that more than 20 people, in fact, even though we regularly have in the high 20s on a daily basis using the bus. And on the last page of the report, you'll see that the kind of things that were measured by the social value calculator. So we have our volunteers, volunteer drivers and volunteer conductors. There are 14 of those, and that people regularly volunteering has a social value of around £40,000 by the looks of it. And then there were the users of the bus. And this tool has huge numbers of questions involved in it. I think Patrick may have been involved in some social value calculation stuff before as well at South Bucks, and I know that we've discussed it. But the things that we picked out as being relevant to this trial were the feeling of belonging to a neighbourhood, because the bus connects them back to that neighbourhood, because it gives them some independence and being part of it. And we reckon that about 20 people would have that view. Talking to neighbours regularly, we've suggested 5, because people do use it as a social tool. Relief from depression, we are certainly aware of 1 or 2 of our users who literally this might form the only social contact that they make in a day. And we've considered that to be potentially to help relieve depression. And we've only counted that we would help 1 person in that. So again, we're trying very hard not to overstate any figures here. Feeling in control of life was another question. And that's something that we very much have had in our feedback and on the surveys that we've done with our bus users, that it gives them a feeling of being in control, because they don't have to rely on anyone to give them a lift if they have limited access to transport. So again, we've said that maybe 20 people feel that way. We've suggested that 2 people, it enables them to obtain advice locally, because the bus does go to the library, it does go to the Beaconsfield Advisory and things like that. But we wouldn't say that lots of people rely on it for that purpose. And then member of a social group was another question, and whether it's used for regular attendance at a group or a meetup. And we know that some of our users specifically use this to access the Simply Walks group, and we know of 5 of those. We think that some other people use it to get to Knit and Natter and things like that run at various places, but we haven't counted them because we don't specifically know it. So when you plug all these numbers into their fantastic tool, this actually suggests to us that the social value of this, which is netted off by what it's cost in monetary terms, the social value that it's added to the community is over £400,000, 414,359, which Jeanette made me do it about 17 times because she said I was double counting things, which I'm really not. This is what the tool says, and we have looked at it over and over. It's really quite astonishing the type of value that it has added for a fairly limited trial running on only 2 days a week. So I've provided you with Jeanette's report there. This is a big deal, which we do normally talk about the bus in this committee, but my concern is that it's such a big project, and that the discussion of it might need to really take place in full council. So I'm kind of recommending that that's probably where you discuss it. But also we've been getting a lot of feedback from our drivers about things we could have done differently, things we could have done better. And I think before the town council does meet, it might be a good idea if you were to ask Jeanette to run a session with the drivers and the conductors to gather their feedback on the trial, because we have the user feedback, but actually the people who've worked in it, and perhaps she could develop a report from that to feed back into the full council for you to consider.
Well, thank you. I mean, those are impressive figures, amazing figures, actually, calculating it that way. And if you stop one person being depressed, it is a major thing. And it's amazing. In the interests of time, everybody, I think what we have to do, rather than get into any lengthy discussion on the worth of the bus or how we feel about the bus, we need to just make a decision on do we feel this should be referred to the town council for an in-depth consideration about what could happen in the future, and also, of course, accept the recommendation that there would be a feedback session with drivers and conductors who could advise us on the good and the improved areas, or the improved areas which need improvement going forward. And when I say in the interest of time, we want to go out and clap for the NHS at 8 o'clock, so we're getting very close. So would you accept that we make a recommendation that we pass this on to the town council for in-depth discussion and have a feedback session as is recommended on the agenda item? Is there anyone who would like to say anything or agree or disagree?
No, I'd agree with that, Anita. Yeah. It's an important issue, clearly successful in the community, but so a decision needs to be made collectively, I would suggest, by the full council.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would perhaps, Sandy, you want to say something?
Well, only, and I declare my interest as chairman of the Community Association, but we feel very strongly that it's been very helpful to a number of our members, and that I would, on their behalf, put a strong recommendation that we support a discussion with the town council in depth about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else would like to add? Is there anyone who feels that it should not be put forward to the town council for discussion? So it's a unanimous decision then. So the recommendations are that we put this to the town council for in-depth discussion as to future, and we have the feedback session. And thank you very much for the report on this, and the amazing figures that the social worth came out at. We don't have any reports from outside bodies, do we? Or do we?
I have had two quick ones, which I reckon I can do before 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Which I did send out to everyone very late in the day, I'm afraid, but they arrived, some of them only arrived this afternoon. So one is from the water fountain group, just to say that all is going quite well there. They've transferred all their funds to us in the town council to hold. I have them in a ring fence fund. They are in a position to fully fund this project now. And so we're kind of up and running. They've got their go ahead from the Secretary of State and their permission, I believe, from the landowner, which is South Bucks District Council. Currently, I am in discussion with Peter Saunders to put together a certificate of lawfulness for this in its revised position as agreed by this committee, and that's where we're at the moment. So that's a very quick update on that. And then the other one that has come in this afternoon is from the Beaconsfield Society, which is about an initiative that they are doing called Buy in Beaconsfield. As we are all increasingly aware, the economy is taking a big hit during the lockdown and a lot of local businesses are suffering. It's something we want to try and help by doing a few things, raising awareness of the issues, encouraging support for local businesses, and advancing ways to help our local economy bounce back in the recession when we get back to the new normal. We hope to protect local jobs, advance and sustain businesses, pull people out of furlough, keep livelihoods in the area. They're working together with Business for Beaconsfield, and they are going to be doing special spotlight pieces on individual businesses. They're not going to have advertising, but they're really looking to work with our business community and with our Business for Beaconsfield group, and to really try and help people to buy local and see if we can support some of those businesses. And that's the end of what I've got, and it's 8 o'clock.
That's great. 8 o'clock. So thank you very much, everyone. Let's go and shout for the NHS, and our next meeting we'll hear about. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.